All right, I am back, everyone. Welcome in. Feels like it's been a while. Yeah, I was laid flat last week with a bad flu. I don't even know what it was. I guess it's not ironic that it happened on the biggest energetic astrological week of the year. So I feel like I was definitely purifying energies, and I'm still kind of getting over that. So bear with me if I start coughing. But so I'm a bit late here, but I wanted to obviously check in this week, and just the bigger energies this week are actually happening on the last half of the week, so it kind of works out. So we have a couple things going on this week, and then we have the big lunar eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo on Monday, the March 3rd. So the energies this week are kind of converging with that lunar eclipse energy. So let's see here. So the 26th of this week is Mercury is going retrograde, and this is happening in Pisces. So this is kind of, that Piscean energy is kind of a culmination of energy, and you're going to, a lot of you are going to have, things are going to come to some sort of culmination, whether it's something mystical or something general in your life. This is going to kind of bring something together, or finally hitting kind of its end, and things are going to close out in some way, but this is a positive. That Mercury, right? We know Mercury's about communication, intellect, education, learning, the mind. So there is going to be a deep, because that retrograde energy is about going inward, about reviewing, reassessing things. So, and then you have that Piscean, which is very deep, very unconscious, watery, emotional. And Pisces also represents like secrets and dreams and like, our fantasies and things like that. So there's going to be a deep review when it comes to, maybe even things about what do we want to learn? What do we want to start focusing on moving forward, right? What are the dreams we want to focus on? How do we want to add that Mercury energy? How do we want to communicate? How do we want to align with our truth and express our truth and make some changes there? And it's that time to kind of quiet and go inward. So we just went through a crazy, crazy energy last week. And it's kind of fitting with this retrograde, because it's kind of like allowing us to kind of stop and do a little bit of internal review of what just happened. And then on the 27th, oh, welcome Jupiter. He hasn't showed up in a while. So we have Mars squaring Uranus on the 27th, and Uranus is in Aries right now. And that is just a combo of an energy. That's like combustion with Mars and Uranus, especially with the squaring. So Mars is about energy and action and passion and kind of that masculine. Uranus and Mars are very masculine, divine masculine energy. So we're going to have a lot of that strong kind of powerhouse of like, physicality, strength, but just, and then you have Uranus, which is like surprises and liberation. And it is also about unleashing an energy. So that day, be very cognizant, especially with that Mercury in retrograde, about what's coming up for us, especially when it comes to potentially anger or outbursts, impulsivity and impatience, and how we're communicating, especially, right? How we're communicating on that day, really having some strong self-awareness of what energy we're in, what we're feeling, what's coming up, and not allowing ourselves to be too reactive, because that squaring between Mars and Uranus is very reactive. That that has an energy, though, that like any pent-up energy is going to have to come out. It has to be released. There's something that needs to be released this day, so we can't resist that either, but we need to allow it to come up, but in a way that's like, again, we're not reacting, we're not deflecting on other people, we're not hurting other people. But there is definitely, this is kind of that pressure cooker of like the volcano erupting, things like that. And it needs to happen, right? We need to get things out. So it'll be interesting if anything happens more on a world or collective stage that day. And then on the 28th, we have Mercury conjunct Venus. So that's going to actually soften the energies. So it's almost like we have the volcano erupting. I think that's Friday. And then Saturday's kind of that allowing us to kind of soften and be like, okay, you know, we got it out. And that's very divine feminine energy. So we have this combination of masculine and feminine coming up this week, but it's really that merging and that harmony coming in and showing like what the divine, really showing that like presence of the divine masculine, but then also what that feminine energy can do to help bring balance to the masculine when it can be on its detriment a bit. So this is a day to really open your hearts, listen more, be more understanding and loving in our communication. Definitely will feel some creative spurts, a good day to create, be inspired. And like, if you're looking to negotiate or do things like that, that's a good day because it does support things going more smoothly and easier and people being more apt to like compromise and things like that. So those are the big things happening this week. I'm not going to get into the full moon lunar eclipse. I'm going to do a separate video on that, and that will come shortly as the week goes on, as we get closer to that date. And we have cards flying here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started and see what comes out here. I've been feeling a lot of downloads, a lot of information coming in from higher dimensions. So I definitely need to do another channel video and really talk through the things that are coming through. There's a lot, they're fast and furious, and it's trying to get my bearings to really wrap my head around, okay, how do I then relay that information to you all? Because there's a lot of important stuff coming in right now. So let's see here. Maybe I'll pull the Moonology first. Oh my gosh. Yep. A fiery climax approaches. Yeah, this is totally Friday. This is that Mars square Uranus. So we know that. Don't let your past hold you back. And adjustments are required. Yes. So there's definitely going to be that culmination, that climax, that like things need to come to the surface. Things need to reach its climax. Something has to happen to kind of help us move forward here. Let me make some room so he can... Because I do feel like there is some things from your past. There is things you're holding on to that have been holding you back. You holding on to these things are actually weighing you down. And the South Node too. So the South Node, when you look at the South and North nodes, they represent kind of our karmic either past or our karmic current state. So it's about like your North Node is like the reason, your purpose for coming into this incarnation, this lifetime. It's going to direct you on why you're here, what your purpose is, what you're learning, right? And the South Node is really looking at what you learned in your last experience, in your last consciousness experience, lifetime, whatever you want to call it. So that's why the South Node represents, right, the past and holding us back. So we may feel comfortable there, but we've already been there, done that. And there's some significance here of like, you're taking off, you're expanding into something new. And whatever this is not meant to, expand with you. It obviously, I feel, has proven to you that it's not expanding and it's not helping you, reach the potential you are supposed to reach, or to live the life you're supposed to reach. So there is something, and adjustments are required. So I feel like it's almost kind of like that pivot of like, you are approaching things in a certain way, or going about your business just doing the same old stuff, but it's like, we have to change, we have to pivot. We're going to be asked this week to make some adjustments in how we're either looking at things, doing things, and it's also tied to what we're holding on to here. All right, happy family. So this could be tied to family, to relationships, marriage, partnerships here, your children, patience, right? We said that with the same thing with the Mars square Saturn, Uranus. Watch your patience. People are not going to be patient that day. So we need to kind of harness that energy. And then the sun. So I like this, like the sun is wanting to come through, right? It's so interesting that we tend to do the very things. So we all want certain things, right? We want happiness, or we want this to come into our life, or we want to manifest this, or we want to reach some goal. And it's interesting that a lot of times our very outward actions are sabotaging us from reaching that. It's actually our own self that's blocking us from getting there, or experiencing something. And that's what I feel like this. There is some sort of happier place for you, happier connections, a better relationship, a happy unified front. And this is, to me, also the happy family is looking at the current state of what we've been programmed to see relationship as. Those templates are shifting and changing. So what we consider marriage and a traditional marriage, and what that looks like, and how we come together and live, and how we approach that hasn't been working. And it's not about like the divorce rate. It's really about our internal growth. Like we feel it in ourselves. Like we attach ourselves to these marriages because we're told, well, you get married and you don't, that's it, right? We've been made to believe that you're not supposed to get a divorce, and you only marry one person, and blah, blah, blah. But most of us have not reached the level of energetic frequency to even have this. So the people we are attracting are really aligned with our energetic frequency at the certain points that they come into our life. But as you continue to experience, each now moment, we're growing, we're expanding, we're evolving, we're learning more about ourselves, and we're deciding different things and wanting to change who we are. And then we magnetize different things. So then the people that don't align with that need to go. But this to me is signifying this holding on to things and people and places and jobs and things like that. But this is shifting. It's definitely changing here. So let's get deeper. There's the sun again. Look at that. Definitely that sun is really wanting to come through. The Hermit, there's that retrograde energy with the Hermit and the Nine of Swords. So we are really digging deep right now. This week, there's going to be a lot of internal reflection here. You may feel like you want to hermit more. You may not want to go out. You may be, there's this real spiritual mysticism that's coming up for us, especially with that Mercury retrograde in Pisces, of reflection, of internal review. And I think we're really racking our mind here, the Nine of Swords. Our mind is trying to almost resist or try to analyze or try to logicize what's coming in through our soul, what our intuition is telling us, and what's been happening is I feel like people have really been resisting. And how this then impacts your life is a lot what I found is anxieties are actually coming from us staying in an environment that's not, either it's toxic, it's not healthy for us, and it's like everything around us is giving us signs that this isn't right. But because of our belief systems or our traumas, we hold on to things because we're too afraid, or we have a belief system that I'm not good enough, or I have a belief system of fear of, well, what's on the other side of this? There's this unknown, which can be very terrifying to people. Or how is this going to unfold? Or a belief about you care more about how everyone else's feels besides yourself. So you're always trying to make other people feel good. Or, well, if I leave this person, what's going to happen? They're not going to be able to handle it. Like, those are all beliefs that are, again, blocking you. And I feel like you're kind of stuck in this stagnant nightmare. The Nine of Swords can represent this like Groundhog's Day. And it's time to waken up to this. And I really feel like there's some deep stuff going on that's really trying to talk to you. We have the Strength card. Yeah, you're overcoming this though. Eight of Swords. So there's this like progression here, which I like. Even though it's like, the Nine of Swords isn't the greatest energy here, you're getting yourself unstuck and you're finally starting to really analyze why I'm stuck and I don't want to be stuck anymore. And then look at this, Seven of Air. So we have 7, 8 to the 9 here. So I do feel like for a long time here, I feel like your mind is going to try to manipulate you. This is kind of like lying to yourself. Like you're trying to make excuses or justifications of why you're not going to do the things that you're afraid of, or why you're not going to do the hard things, or go after your happiness, or let go of things that aren't serving you. There is a lot of mental manipulation here, but this is inner. This is inner stuff going on. And then we have another Swords, 3 of Swords, 8 of Wands, and then 2 of Swords. Wow. So I feel like you're afraid of the heartache that's going to be caused by you doing what you want to do or making some difficult decisions to cut off a situation or a person, leave a situation, walk away from something. There's like you gaining the courage and confidence to overcome something that also has been very hard. What's interesting here, this has been very this has been a heartache for you. Staying in this has been heartache, but you're willing to sacrifice your own happiness to avoid the potential consequences, like I said. But like you have this fire energy, the 8 of Wands. It's time to move. Like you're really being called. There's movement here that's wanting to come in. You have the Sun. It's like you're being pushed to act. And that could be that Mars energy too. That's action. So you could finally take some action this week and get unstuck. Because there is a lot of stuck energy here of being blocked, of like you've been squatting on something. You've been sitting on the fence and just, it's almost like you've been making a decision by not making any decision. And that's a decision, right? So I think it's time for you to finally kind of work through your headspace and your justifications, you're lying to yourself, you telling yourself these false beliefs over and over that has kept you in a situation way longer. And this is about awakening to not just a relationship or a situation or a job. This is about awakening to what you've been putting yourself through your entire life. Like how you've been lying to yourself, how you've been manipulating yourself. And it's about, what's really the manipulation is the belief systems. You have belief systems that have really kept you small, that have allowed you to stay in something that hasn't been healthy or good for you, that has been holding you back. And it's time for you, the courage, the confidence is coming in, The Mars energy is going to really fuel you to really want to, like, something's, you know, again, that Uranus energy is going to release this week. So I feel like that's definitely, that could be what the Eight of Wands is too, is that release. What's the Eight of Wands about? Four of Cups. There's something that you really want to do in your heart, and you've really been holding yourself back. Because again, you've been telling yourself things that aren't true. You're like, poor me, or I can't do this because of this, or, you know, there's a lot of focus on things you don't have, but you make justifications of why you can't have something else or something better. Seven of Swords, Nine of Swords, Eight of Wands in reverse, or Three of Wands in reverse. So you've really been, you've been resisting change for one, and holding yourself back. You've been really resisting expanding. So you've been being shown different things of, like, your soul's been saying it's time to change, it's time to grow, it's time to expand. Like, there's other things that you're here in this lifetime to do and that you're supposed to experience. And you've really been just fighting that. And again, like, lying to yourself about something. Someone too, this could be someone else really trying to prevent you from expanding. And so they've been using manipulation tactics as well. That could be a situation. And then the Page of Fire. So this could be, for some of you, this could be you justify this because of if you have kids with somebody. But I do feel like there's new sparks coming in. You're getting new ideas of how you can do something or get out of something. And I think it's time to really strategize. So if you are trying to leave a marriage or a relationship, I do feel like you're really starting to try and figure that out. But I feel like you've also been kind of sitting on the fence because you're like, oh, I need to, because it's like you're afraid to actually implement the strategy. Yeah, Wheel of Fortune. So this divine timing, something's going to really click this week for people. This too, I just want to call out, I kind of been focusing the reading more on you guys as individuals, but when we look at the collective view, this is about lies, people being lied to. This is about, like, being lied to and gaslit. So you feel like you're going crazy because you're like, I know this is true, or I know what I'm feeling, but, like, you're being told, oh, that's not right, or don't believe that. Like, there's a lot of distortion and manipulation energy with these cards. And I feel like this is also representing the collective. And this is about the collective standing up, having the confidence and strength to face these bigger people, face this darkness going on, face the things that we've been dealing with for centuries, and we're not doing it anymore. It's caused a lot of pain to a lot of people,